Riots, police and protesters clash at anti-racism rally in Tel Aviv. Post's crime reporter weighs in on the violent turn of events at the protest. Body of Israeli victim of Nepal quake transferred to his family. Merkel calls for history to be remembered at Dachau Liberation Anniversary. Shalom and welcome to the Jerusalem Post News. Here are the top stories for May 4th. A protest in Tel Aviv last night, initiated by Ethiopian Israelis against racism and police brutality, left 68 injured and 43 arrested, according to police updates today. Police said that of those hurt, 56 were security forces and 12 were demonstrators. 19 arrested protesters were due to appear in court today. The protest came after video footage surfaced last week depicting two police officers assaulting Damas Akada, an IDF soldier of Ethiopian descent, in an apparently unprovoked incident. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a meeting in his office today with Pakada and Ethiopian community leaders. President Reuven Rivlin also addressed the issue today.
המפגינים בירושלים ובתל אביב חשפו פצע פתוח ומדמם בליבה של החברה הישראלית. פצע של קהילה שמשמיעה את זעקתה על תחושות של אפליה, גזענות וחוסר מענה. לצד זאת, צריך לומר בצורה ברורה ביותר, מחאה היא כלי חיוני בדמוקרטיה, אבל אלימות אינה הדרך ואינה הפתרון.
Our crime reporter Ben Hartman, who was reporting from the protest last night, is on the line to provide some insight into last night's events. Ben, can you talk us through the way in which the protest deteriorated into violence?
For hours on Sunday, the protest was entirely peaceful, especially while the protesters were marching and closing Ayalon Freeway. When it got to Kikar Rabin, things took a turn for the worst. A lot of protesters were throwing rocks, bottles, all types of stuff at police, who then in turn began using stun grenades and charging the crowd on horseback. And that's when things really took a turn for the worse. But there was, up until then, relatively peaceful until protesters started throwing a lot of stuff at police and being pretty violent in their own right. It was not a peaceful protest there at Rabin Square.
Do you think the protest will have any impact?
I think it's going to get people to talk about this issue when they hadn't before. That is police brutality against Ethiopian Israelis, which up until now is something that really was only talked about for the most part within that community.
The body of Or Asraf, the sole Israeli fatality in Nepal's earthquake last month, arrived at the airport in Kathmandu today to be returned home. A search team in Nepal discovered the body of the 22-year-old Israeli trekker yesterday. Asraf had been missing since the 7.9 magnitude earthquake hit Nepal last month, killing more than 7,000 people. Members of a joint volunteer delegation from the Israeli Emergency Services transferred Asraf's body to the authority of his family and the Foreign Ministry. And German Chancellor Angela Merkel delivered a speech yesterday marking the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the Dachau concentration camp.
Das ist unsere staatliche, aber auch unsere bürgerliche Pflicht. Und diese staatliche und bürgerliche Pflicht immer wieder bewusst zu machen, das sind wir allen Opfern des Nationalsozialismus schuldig. Den Opfern auch dieses ehemaligen Konzentrationslagers hier in Dachau. Das sind wir den Überlebenden schuldig und das sind wir uns allen schuldig.
That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more news from Israel. Until then, shalom from the Jerusalem Post studio.